Hi, Steve from Divorcing Japan here, and welcome to part 2 on Kimi Onoda, or Onoda Kimi, who has just been elected the immigration officer for Japan. She was born in America, in Illinois in 1982, and raised by her mother with her sister here in Japan. It's written, and I can't find much information about this, and I'd like to know more, to be honest, that her father was not there for her when she was a baby, and so her mother decided to bring her family over to Japan and raise the two children as a single mother. And this is a very interesting point because it's said that the father did not pay and contribute towards child welfare payments, which is a big thing on her agenda right now. If we look at her agenda, she's looking to add a minimum child support idea to the law, which basically means that child support will become something that's punishable and treated as debt, so to say. So if a father does not pay child support towards the children, then they're going to be chased up on it like it was like a credit card debt or a debt or government debt, a tax debt. So it's going to be deducted straight from your wages if you're not paying. Now, this is Divorcing Japan, and you know, this is a channel where I'm all open for new ideas, but quite frankly, I don't think that there's enough protection and support for fathers going through divorce and fathers who can't see their kids. So I just want to insert my opinion here. I understand that her mother left America when she was 1 year old and took her sister to live in Okayama in Japan and bring them up as a single mother. And it's stated that the father did not pay welfare, child support. But I wonder what the situation was, you know, as to why the father didn't pay child support. We've seen many cases here where Japanese mothers have taken the children away from the father, alienated the children from the father, and have not allowed the father visitation rights, which then leads to the father not paying for child support. And in often many cases, it's because of this alienation and not allowing the father to see the children that then down the road causes the father to stop paying the child support. There are obviously cases where the father doesn't pay the child support and so then they can't see the kids anymore, but there are also cases where the mother suddenly does not allow the father to see the kids and have their visitation rights, and so the father then stops paying. So I think there are two sides to every coin, and because we don't know anything about the situation between the mother and the father, I don't think it's really fair to say anything. However, growing up and being brought up by a single mother, we can definitely see that she has a lot of support for her mother, and that's totally fine. And coming into office, coming into the power to be a lawmaker now, and she's putting forward these hard tactics to make fathers have to pay their child support, I think is something that I'm sure she's very gung-ho for, and we'll see how that turns out. However, I'm begging and I'm asking for a way to ensure that fathers can see their children. If we're going to be on the hook for paying child support like a debt, like a tax, and if we don't pay, we're going to get chased up, then I think that there needs to be laws put in place that do the opposite, that hold the women accountable when they don't let fathers see their children. If it's agreed in court that the father has visitation once, twice, 3 times a month, and then after the divorce, the mother stops the child from seeing the father or stops the father from seeing the child, right now there is no punishment. There is no real offense committed, and therefore you cannot get the police, you cannot get the law involved, except to go back to court, pay again, and the court will tell her to basically allow the father to see the kids. And then she says, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. And then the father again is denied by her because of whatever reason, okay? So if we're gonna make fathers pay child support and make it a debt, then I think that we should hold women liable for making sure that they stand up and honor the promises they make to make the kids available to the fathers. Let's create balance. Let's not create another way for fathers to get thrown under the truck with no support, is all I'm saying. And I'm not saying I disagree with this. I know that there's a lot of single mothers out there in financial hardship while the fathers are kind of just bunking off and doing stuff. But I also believe that there are a lot of fathers out there who are in serious pain because all they want is to see their children and they can't, and they've been denied that. And so they come to their own conclusion that they're not going to pay that person any money, and that if they do anything, they're going to save money for their child in their own bank account, so when the child comes later, they can get the money that way. I think that there's a lot of mixed feelings out there about that right now. Another thing that she seems to be be supporting is this idea of even if the parents are cross borders. So for example, if a Japanese woman marries a foreign, let's say American man, and they have children in Japan, and he goes back to America and he stops paying financial aid to the Japanese woman, then the cross borders policy that she's trying to invoke will allow Japan to collect from the American bank account to make sure that the financial support continues, despite the fact that the father seems to be running away. And I think that this is very, very dangerous, because I think this needs to be matched with what if Japanese mothers abduct children from America, bring them back to Japan. And we've seen cases, especially with Australia, we've seen cases with America, where Japanese mothers have abducted, kidnapped children, brought them back to Japan, and the foreign fathers have come to Japan to try to locate their children and have been met with very brutally cold faces as far as the law and the police is concerned and what they're allowed to do. And there are many documentaries going out there right now about it. So if we're going to jump into people's bank accounts overseas and collect money for financial support, then I think that Japan needs to be ready to face up to the facts and allow more cooperation from foreign countries trying to get their fathers matched back up with their children without this hiding behind the Japanese "we don't know" face. The door has to swing both ways. And I understand support for mothers is important, but let's not forget support for fathers. And there is a considerable lack of support for fathers out there internationally as far as Japan is concerned right now. So we've already seen with the new joint custody law coming in next year, which sounds great and matches up to the Hague Convention and makes the world media very, very happy to hear that Japan is finally introducing joint custody. But as I've said in other videos, the way that joint custody is going to be introduced is highly impractical, if you ask me, because of the reason that you can only apply for joint custody once the divorce is actually being granted, and two, it takes both mother and father to agree to go to court to do joint custody, which I just don't think is going to work. Okay, and then once you've done joint custody, who is going to do those court readings? Right now, the court is overflowing with divorce cases to the point where they can't handle most of them. And up till now, 90% of people in Japan have got divorced using the rikontoroke method, where husband and wife go to the city hall with the piece of paper, hanko hanko, hand it in, and they're divorced, and it can be done in one day. But with mixed race marriages, there are gonna be issues. There's gonna be problems that arise with splitting things up. There's gonna be problems like in my case where I felt hoodwinked, where I felt a lot of black cloth was draped over my face while I was told to sign here and here and here. So in those cases, we do need mediation. We do need to go to court. We do need to use court personnel to help find a fair ending. And those personnel are just not there. And so introducing new laws, introducing new things about how we're going to do things, how we're going to provide more support for mothers, more support for fathers is great on the surface, but underneath there are no mechanics, there's no structure, and there are no people to make those things happen, especially in the towns around Japan. Those city offices just do not have the personnel to make these things function. So if there are changes, they will be slow, I think. And we're just going to have to see what happens. So if Onoda's proposals about the standard minimum childcare support system goes through, what it means is from the moment that you're having problems with the wife and she moves out and she starts the court proceedings against you, you're going to be required to pay, and they will suck that out of your bank account. There will be a predetermined price and it will be sucked out of your bank account and you won't be able to do anything about it. And in my case, I want to put my hand up and say, I'm not quite sure that that's a fair thing to do, because I paid for my wife and for my kids after she left me. And I only stopped paying because she didn't let me see the kids for 6 months. Then I stopped paying for 6 months and she took me to court. The court ordered I had to pay back the 6 months. I missed my daughter walking for the first time. I missed my kids growing up. I missed so many things, and I had been with my kids every day up to that point. And so for 6 months I didn't see my kids. The court ordered me, I had to pay that money back, and I said to the court, well, I can't get those memories back. And they dismissed me and said I was being silly, and I had to pay that money back. And this is the kind of thing that's happening here, is as a father, I felt seriously let down by the court because I lost very, very important time with my kids. My daughter was 1 and I missed between 1.5. You know, I just missed that time and I can never get that back, but I was ordered to pay the money that I didn't pay. At any time, this is my point, at any time, even if you're not seeing your kids, you're going to be required to pay that money, which, to be honest, I would never not want to support my kids. I had that money for those 6 months I didn't pay in a separate bank account. I was putting it away every month. And I always want to support my kids. But to be honest, it leaves us with no leverage. It always leaves us in fear. It always leaves us with the anxiety that even though we're paying, at any time we could be denied visitation to our own children, and there's nothing that the court can do about it. So speaking about this, right now these lawmakers asking fathers to pay, making it a debt so it can be collected to ensure payment, fine, no problem. But let's balance it out. Let's make some laws for fathers to protect us so we can make sure we get our visitation, so that we make sure that we are part of our children's lives and we are not part of a rising number of men who cannot see their children because the women who they've broken up with decide by themselves that they don't want to go through the hassle of seeing us face to face as they drop off and pick up anymore. And the amount of stories I've heard surrounding me from people who are going through this right now, who have court orders saying they have visitation but haven't seen their kids for a year, 2 years, it's disgusting. And so, new laws, hooray Henry, but let's get the people in place to support those laws and also think about how we can support fathers who are out of control in their minds with anxiety just because they have the one thing, the one right taken away from them that they should have, access to their own children. Isn't this a basic thing that needs to be looked at before we start this rat race of let's get more money from the fathers to the mothers? On the flip side, I know there are a lot of hardworking single mothers out there who are in financial crisis and working very hard to raise their children by themselves. And there are some fathers out there who do not do what they are supposed to do and what they're responsible to do by supporting their children. And I get that. I'm not saying that there aren't those people out there. I'm just trying to say, let's make it fair across the board. Fathers, pay for your kids. Mothers, allow good visitation, good access. And I've got a video coming out soon talking about how 24 times a year is just not enough for a father, but yet it's deemed as perfectly accessible. And in my case, I consider myself lucky that I can see my children 24 times a year. If any of this rings with you and you want to know more or you're just interested, please subscribe the channel. I'm a young channel and I'm trying to build this community around divorce in Japan and the way that Japan is changing right now. I don't want to bash Japan in any way. I just want to say it the way I feel, and I love living here, and it's where I want to be, and I choose to be here, and I want to continue being a good law-abiding citizen and doing my thing here. So if this rings true, please subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you. Bye-bye.